Hello, my name is Romolo Tschantret and thank you for coming back to my YouTube videos. This is a 5-part series of the interconnections of what scientists are achieving in outer space, and it's talking about the truth of what they're doing and what they're not doing, what they're achieving and what they're not achieving. So this part will be on terraforming. The scientists first start mentioning, and what they like to do is focus on what the resources are being spent on and why they're not spending it on other things. Like they talk about, they could be using this money for necessity things on the earth, like feeding the people on earth, finding cures for diseases, fixing the mistakes that the planet has, using it for the homeless, understanding our own planet and how it works. But they're not using this money to benefit those things, but they realize that this money can be used for these purposes. They also mention, and this is the big thing, this is what they actually are doing, and this is going to be the theme for the whole 5-part series of what they actually want you to believe what they are. It's very subtle, but as the 5-part series goes on, you will see that this little subtleness becomes very apparent to the viewer of what they want to be for mankind. The first thing that they're mentioning is that they're ensuring the survival for our planet and for our species to travel to other planets to terraform them. Discovering life on other planets like on Mars. Improving the quality of life on Earth by understanding what other planets are doing. And demonstrating political and economical leadership. So these are just some of the things that they're presenting to you as being scientists to achieve for mankind worldwide. The reason why they picked Mars to be one of the first terraforming planets is they stated that Mars used to look like Earth millions of years ago. Life exists in the most extreme places on Earth, so possibly could be on Mars. Some of the ingredients for life already exists on Mars, and we haven't even scratched the surface yet to understand all the things that Mars has for us to understand. Now I'm going to mention some of the things that Mars doesn't have and why it's impossible for terraforming on Mars. And I know scientists today are saying that that it's very possible, and they're getting funded for all this. They want funding for all this scientific research that they're doing. Before I do this, I mentioned the last time about they were having a contest to eliminate the radiation from the sun and other solar activities in outer space. And they had a contest for somebody to achieve a way to disperse the radiation from the ship and from the spacesuits so it wouldn't harm anybody going to Mars or any place in outer space, that radiation. It was an appalling amount. I don't even remember what it was. It was like $23,000 or $25,000, which 5 people won that contest. Which is very disturbing to me, is that NASA is getting billions of dollars of funding for research that they've gotten from 5 winners they stated that they got. They gave 4 of them $5,000. They didn't even have the audacity to give them all the full amount of money that they proposed to give whoever won this contest. So they split it up to each individual person, $5,000 to 4 of them, and I believe it's $7,000 for the first top prize winner, I believe it was, which was not even mentioned in the article that they were going to split it. But the fact is that it saddens me how much they're really so, I hate to say this, but greedy, that they have taken all the wonderful hard work that these individuals are doing, and they minimize them to giving them so little of amount of money, as little as possible as they can give them. So these poor people are hoping, oh, maybe I'll get a job with them, or maybe somebody will know who I am, maybe I'll get my name on the research, that, you know, someday I'll be some big scientist, that, you know. And so this is what those poor individuals are hoping for, that they've gotten so little money, as I mentioned, that they can't even pay a quarter of their rent for the year. That's how little money that NASA paid them, and that's a sad thing. But back to terraforming, and just to show you the reality of terraforming and what actually what they're stating and what they're getting funded for is not possible, and how they're trying to make themselves look smarter than they are. And again, all these facts, and I know scientists with their wording, they make everything sound like it's fantastic, but let's make their reality, with the proof and evidence that are available, show them that they're living in a fantasy world. And with this fantasy world, they're not only getting funding for it, but they're getting taxpayers' money's funding for it, because the government's paying for it, and all the governments are paying all around the world for all this research and funding. So the little person is paying this bill. And so I know we never get a say, but that's okay. It's not for us to choose what the government is paying or funding. Well, at least they should know the truth. I mean, they're being lied to all the time. The first thing Mars does not have that the Earth has is the ozone layer. And what the ozone layer does is it protects us from harmful rays from the sun and outer space radiation. That's the first thing that they don't have. And actually that's the second thing, because that's inside the Earth. The first thing is that it does not have a magnetic shield. What that magnetic field does, which I say is a shield, is repels 90% of the sun's rays, especially when they have solar flares. That's why the Earth, as you can see in every scientific documentary, they show when the solar flare hits the Earth, it'll be like this. It hits the Earth and then it bends inwards and it shields it from the sun rays, which is really magnificent. Without those two things, there is no way possible that you can terraform Mars to be like the Earth and sustain life. We will see in a couple of minutes that I will draw an outline of what they're telling you that is possible, how they're going to terraform these things. See, without those two elements, they can't terraform it. But what they're saying is possible in terraforming. I'm going to show you what a joke that is, that they're making people believe that is possible. Another thing is that, and you will see this, and I will demonstrate this and talk about this when I draw what's happening in your terraforming procedures. In Mars, the temperature degrees go from 50 degrees Fahrenheit to minus 225 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about the ratio of the temperature difference. Possibly the scientists have never worked outside or never worked at all physically, that they don't even know how difficult it is to work in extreme temperatures. So we see when they say that they're going to do all this terraforming and they're going to put up these pods, housing pods with all this equipment. Let's just say the equipment works 100%. They're going to have pods, and then after they have these solar panels that are going to open up a mile wide. So with these solar panels, they're going to collect a lot of energy and whatever else they're going to do with these solar panels, and with these pods producing oxygen. One thing that we have to see is, what are they trying to produce there? The oxygen. I just want to look at what the differences of Earth is. The major differences with Earth and Mars is, Earth is made up of a 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 1% aeron. Mars is made up of 95% carbon dioxide and 3% nitrogen, 1.6% aeron. Mars also has a small amount of oxygen in it, and there are some other elements that I didn't mention, but they are the primary elements. And when we see what they're trying to do to terraform Mars under the conditions that they're working with is not possible because of the first two elements that I talked about. But there's one more situation that develops on Mars, which is an unavoidable circumstance that happens there that will stop any development of terraforming on Mars. There is no protection on it when you put all the pods up there and the solar panels. What happens on Mars, they will not accomplish what they're saying they will accomplish. And I'm talking about dust storms. Dust storms on Mars are not like the dust storms on Earth. Dust storms cover the entire planet. They last for weeks. They develop in a few days. You can never predict when they come and when they don't come. So let's say they're terraforming Mars for approximately 5,000 years. You can just imagine how many dust storms are going to hit their equipment. Being a cleaner for many years, there is no way that is possible for them to clean their equipment in a dust storm the size of what they're stating that these pods and canopies, solar canopies, are going to be to make what they say possible. The dust would be like, even if the dust was 1 inch thick, 1 inch, let's say half an inch, to clean it up from what they're stating they're going to have up there is going to be an astronomical amount of cleaning. They're never, ever going to be able to clean it, nor will they have the personnel to clean it, nor will they have the equipment to clean it. I mean, they would have to bring 20 pods of cleaning equipment with 5,000 people to clean it each time one of these storms develop. Again, please examine all the information and really evaluate all the fantasies that they're given to you so they can save mankind, save the earth, save humanity from their terraforming possibilities. All the money that they're funding, is it funding for terraforming or is it funding for another reason? We really have to evaluate what the reasoning is. And it's funny that NASA and the governments have just released a statement. They're funding missions for mining in outer space resources. So are they terraforming it for people to live, or do they want to mine things for resources to use? And that would be the reason why they have to eliminate all the radiation and stuff from the equipment, or all the things that they're bringing from other planets, that they're trying to bring from other planets, which they will never have the money to achieve. They're funding all this money to eventually get resources from outer space to bring back to Earth to make more money. You don't spend money not to achieve a possibility of making money. So this is what they're doing. I'd like to mention one thing in some of the articles that I've gotten. You know, they're talking about terraforming all this stuff on Mars, which is billions and hundreds of billions of dollars to terraform all this stuff on Mars. But look at, if a reality sets in and people start thinking, why would they want to spend all this money to terraform a planet that has multiple amounts of radiation on it, massive dirt storms in it, to spend all this money for rockets that are flying up there? And when I show you the diagrams of how many rockets have to go up there to do even an inkling of what they're talking about, you're going to be amazed. There's all these deserts that are, and I wrote some of them down here, the Antarctic polars, both pretty close in a massive amount of desert. 5.5 million square miles. The Arctic polars, 5.5 million miles of desert, unlivable space. The Sahara subtropical desert, 3.5 million square miles. The Gobi Desert, 500,000 square miles. So these are just very few of them. There's at least 20 that I wrote down there that are all deserts. Why are they not? If terraforming was possible and they had all these great ideas, don't you think that it would be more beneficial to terraform these areas where the air conditioning that we're breathing, we can breathe on planet Earth, the conditions for living, the environment is better for man to live on Earth? I mean, all these things, specifications for life is on Earth that they could be terraforming or fixing that they refuse to. Why? Because they want to tell you in 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years, this could be possible. They don't even mention it will be possible, because they know that, and even if they did say that, which maybe they did say it is possible, I've never heard them say it, so I'm saying it from what I've heard, they're going to be dead and gone. They've got their money, and that's another thing. The money that they're spending, and it's like starting a business. Imagine if you started a business and you put $1 million into it. And so they work to get this business going for 5 years. Are you going to lose that $1 million if you have to put another $100,000 into it? No. But then when you put that $100,000, you got $1 million and $100,000. Are you going to waste that $1 million and then $100,000 if they tell you, well, if you give me another $100,000? That's how they lead you on to spending more and more money without any results. All the results that they're telling you is accomplishable is not even accomplishable. They're made up stories. They can come on any show that they want and debate these issues with me, because they know it's true that terraforming on another planet, Europa's even worse. I have to say truly, that is even a bigger joke. Excuse me. That is even a bigger joke. The moon has water on it. That's another thing. What are they going to do? Melt the snow there? Or whatever? There's volcanoes underneath the ice. I know I mentioned this before. It's 10 times further out that they have to go. You know, it's just funny about what they say and how they say they're going to achieve this terraforming. Impossible. Some of the things that I mentioned on Mars are not on Europa, but there's other difficulties on Europa. But this is just one. This is the best chance of terraforming we have is on Mars. So if Mars is impossible for them to terraform, then everything else that they're talking about is a fabrication. And I love when they say, you know, there is a Earth too. There could be life on other planets. And that's the hook. Line and sinker. You know, people are thinking, oh, there's life on other planets. This is livable. We can achieve this. Why don't they tell you the distance to these other planets, these Earth 2s? Why don't they tell you how long it's going to take them? Why don't they tell you what achievements they're working on? Warp technology. All these things that they're talking about that they're achieving. They're not even one inkling closer to passing the speed of light. They have folding the universe, which I have to really look into that. One of the scientists we're talking about. I don't have to look. I just have to look at what their mathematical figures are on that. It's a new theory under development, folding space to achieve this ultimate speed. And he has it all calculated. I forgot the gentleman's name. But again, the next video I'm going to look into, I will promise you that I will mention that procedure there of space travel, because it's so hysterical to me. I mean, I'm still laughing inside all day long when I read about it. I'm going to go to the diagram now, and I'm going to show you what they say they're doing and what it actually looks like in reality. Okay, this is Mars and what they're talking about terraforming. They dropped the pods down. They got the solar panels here. And this is what I think they're smoking. I'm not sure. This is the marijuana plants that I think they're smoking for this idea to be achievable, because it's impossible. So they got to be, I think they got to be high or something on some kind of aphrodisiac here. So I think I just made these little pot plants here, I guess. I'm not a great artist, but this is what they're making you look at, and this is what's happening. These panels, these huts that they're living in have air supplies, and let me throw in a couple of oxygen making machines right here. We'll throw about 4 or 5 of them here. Okay, oxygen machines there. The solar panels collecting all the energy, and so what happens is, plants that cannot grow there would be right here, because they always have them there, like, you know, they're making a utopia out there, because they're in this dreamland. So they have flowers and stuff. I think they're using palm trees to make it look beautiful, sunny, amazing, wonderful. So they have all this. They have their machines producing air and all the other elements that they need to produce life on Mars. So just with these 4, with the solar panels here, without the trees, with the oxygen things, just 4 is 4. Let's just, the best scenario, it's 4 missions to Mars. 4 missions to Mars. So it's billions and billions and billions of dollars to do just this. Probably it runs about, I'm not like the mathematician, I don't know how much goes in their pockets, I don't know what's going to the program, I don't know what they're paying their men, but let's just say this 4, let's give it a small number, $20 billion, okay? $20 billion for just this, to bring this over to Mars. Now I'm going to show you the reality that these machines are producing, solar panel energy is producing, when, first of all, when the windstorm comes by. Have you ever seen dirt, how well it clogs? It will clog everything here. It will cover these panels where they don't work anymore. It will cover the breathing apparatuses that they're breathing themselves. It will clog every single thing that they set here. Every single thing. It will clog. I don't care what story they're telling you, what screening, what filters they're having. But let's say that they have superhuman guy there cleaning all this stuff. Dust storm comes and they clean all this stuff perfectly each time it storms. Okay? Let's just say that. But let's look at reality. Okay, we're back. Now I erased all the stuff that I put on there. Now this is Mars, okay? It's not actual size, so please bear with me. It's not actual size to the actual scale that I'm going to do, but it's very, very close. You remember the pods and the solar panels and everything that I showed you that is going to transform the Mars to an environment like Earth? This is 100 pods, 100 solar panels, and 100 pot plants. This is what it looks like in reality on the planet. See, they put everything close up. This is it. Oh, that's too much. I'm sorry. Let me just erase that. That's what it represents on the planet. Right there. 100 of their solar panels, their pods, the plants, the oxygen stuff. That's what they're producing right here. They're producing, the amount that they're producing from this little thing is, and I don't even know how much they're saying they're producing out of this. It's and this is the funny part. It's producing if this thing is producing 1/1000th of a percent of oxygen that goes out to here, 1/100000th, it would probably take, I'm not a mathematical genius, probably with 100 of them, probably take about 1,000,000 years for them to terraform this. But then again, with the solar flares that are coming, the solar radiation that's coming in and contaminating everybody, this is what a person will look like in less than 1 year. This is what a person will look like. Again, it's not actual size. And again, I'm not the best drawer, but this is what the person will look like. Okay. Is that a good coffin? Seriously. I'm not positive how coffins look, but this is what they will look like living in Mars for 1 year. There will be as many people as they are there, but the last one, because he can't dig himself a coffin, he'll be here like this. That little mark there is his tongue. Ah! 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 He will be dead. Okay? I'm just trying to help you to realize the funny part of all this. This is 100 right there. These are the people that have flown over there. This is good for the reality people on the reality show to show them they're right. If they go to Mars, they will never come back. Matter of fact, they'll be dead. They'll have radiation poison before they get to Mars. That's how sure I am. So this is terraforming for them. This is what you're spending billions of dollars for. Please, keep these guys at home with their families, with their friends, with their loved ones. Don't make them rob you of all these billions of dollars to go there and be dead from radiation poisoning. I should actually, maybe I'm not giving it the benefit of the doubt. Hold on. He mutated. He's got 2 heads from all the radiation that's killing him. Okay? So and best and all the expenses paid for it, this is it. All the things that I've shown you on the board are true. All the things that I've said are true. These are not speculations. These are not theories. These are not... That's another thing. They're having a lot more conspiracy theory things on television, which makes it even funnier because they're looking at reality. When somebody speaks about reality, it blends in with all these theories and all these storytelling people. They're theorists and theories that they're stating. So it's really difficult to see who's really telling the truth. But when you really analyze the information that I have, you will see that these are not theories. These are not possibilities. These are not abstract information. These are the actual informations that are there. And you can, as you saw today, this is the reality of what they actually are. So please examine what I wrote on the board and what I put on the board, what I wrote on the board, and you'll see that their conception, and that's what it is, conception of terraforming is not possible. Their imagination of terraforming is not possible. Their dreams of terraforming Mars is not possible. Their fabrications of terraforming are not possible. These are all lies. So that's what I want to bring to you. They are not the saviors of humanity. They're giving you this aspect, and as all the dialogues go and integrate together, you will see why they want you to believe that they are the saviors of mankind. They say it so elaborately, how they're the saviors of humanity through science. Scientists want you to believe that through science is the only means of survival.